Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Someday with me, Jay Barsky. This will be the last episode of the year, the last episode of 2022. I'm releasing this episode on my birthday, and I say this because I'm a strong believer of the gift of giving, and this is kind of a gift to myself. Kind of just want to share the wisdom of somebody that's been really helping me throughout my comedy journey that I've been honored to getting to know throughout my starting comedy, and that's legendary comedian Jimmy Shubert. Obviously, he's a well known comic throughout the country, and he has a long resume that includes awesome things such as being a finalist on Last Comic Standing, having the roles in shows like The King of Queens, and one of my favorite shows, Entourage. You'll hear us talk about his recent stand up shows at the MGM, our shared interest in yoga, and everything else in between. With that being said, I hope you enjoy our Someday with Jimmy Shubert. Jimmy Shubert, welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Good to be here. How are you?
I'm great. We kind of talked earlier before about you traveling a little bit for the past 5 weeks, and you actually performed at the MGM recently.
Yeah, I was at the Brad Garrett's Club out there, which is awesome, and I work with Brad, so that was a lot of fun. And the week before that, I was at the Laugh Factory at the Tropicana. So I did one casino, and I walked across the street and did the other one but that was the end of like a 5 week run. I filmed a movie in Detroit. We were up there, and then I was in St. Louis, and I was in Reno, and then just busy, man. Just busy.
Well, what's the movie in Detroit?
Well, it's a movie called Topper, directed by Kevin Mack. My scenes were with Eric Griffith and Brian Callen, and the lead actors Mark O'Brien and Amanda Clayton, who were on the Showtime show City on the Hill. So it's kind of semi-autobiographical about the director's life, who wrote it, and so one of those. That was the third movie I did. I did a movie called Puppy Love with Hopper Penn, Sean Penn's son. That should be out this year. And then another movie called Don't Suck, which was with Russell Peters and Jamie Kennedy and
Oh, nice.
Matt Rife, and just a great cast. And so that should be a fun movie. I'm excited that like this next year is going to be like busy as far as like movies go and stuff. And I'm just going to keep doing stand up, and yeah, it's nice that I get to act once in a while. It's fun.
You've been pretty busy like recently, and you said like the past 5 weeks, and you've been traveling. You
Well,
mentioned
it's
MG.
funny because I moved to Florida. And I thought my schedule would slow down a little bit, but it's just gotten busier and busier and busier. And so it's so funny because you think, oh well, I'm going to move and maybe things will be a little, but it just get busier. I don't mind it at all. I'm glad, and at the right times of year, and and so and my corporate schedule's picked up a lot, so it's keeping busy, man. It's
And
good.
Reno was like one spot you haven't gone to in a while too.
No, yeah, I've been there. I do it like once a year. Me and my buddy Jason Lawhead go out there and we work together and stuff. And he's on the West Coast, so it makes it easy. So we do Reno, Vegas. We do 2 weeks together on the road.
And I know you also like a lot of do a lot of international traveling. So are you planning anything coming up?
Yeah, I'm going to Turkey for a couple days coming up. I leave Saturday, get there Sunday, and then I'll be back on Thursday. Just popping in for a little bit.
I thought I heard like China or maybe
I've
Ireland.
done China. I've done 3 tours of Asia. I won't be doing that anymore. That's because of what's going on over there now. But yeah, I'm glad I did it. Like all the international travel, I'm glad I did it. Because now I don't know that that's something that's feasible now with everything that's going on in the world. So I'm glad I did see the world. There's a couple places I still want to go, but I do love travel, man. I love going places like, I went to Afghanistan with Drew Carey,
Nice.
which is awesome. And then the Middle East, and done shows for the military back when, we were occupying places over there. So it's, yeah, it's a lot of fun to travel internationally like that and to do stand up. I mean, to do stand up in China was like crazy, but they have all these communities of these expats over there that are there teaching English to the Chinese, a lot of college students that, get out of college and they go to China and they pay for their housing and stuff and they make money and they're able to pay down their student loans. So,
Well, you mentioned that there was places internationally that you wanted to travel to.
yeah,
still?
like Italy, and I'd like to go
Okay.
to Scotland and play some golf. I want to go to Spain.
Well, I know we talked about golf before, so did you get a chance to do any golfing when you were traveling over?
No, man, I don't lug my clubs with me because it's too much. If I play, I'll rent. But if I
Mhm.
know I'm going to play, I'll bring my shoes and gloves and stuff like
Okay.
that, all my little side stuff. But I don't really travel with my clubs. I'll probably play. I'm home now for a while, so I'll probably play. Over the course of the next couple weeks, get my game back at the range. You know.
Did you ever check out that one par 3 course I told you about in
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did. There's one called Red Bluff in Boca, which is nice, a
Okay.
little nine. But then there's and then there's a like an 18 hole par
Mhm.
three up in Palm Beach.
Okay.
And I play the the Delray Muni is my home course. So
Yeah,
I go out
okay.
there and play that all the time. It's like a couple blocks from my house.
So something I kinda wanted to talk to you about before was I've heard that you're interested in doing magic in your comedy.
Yeah, I'm a magician. No, and I don't do it in comedy. They're completely two separate art forms. So
Okay.
I do close up magic. I've something I've done since I'm a kid. I'm a magician member of the Magic Castle. I auditioned, became a member of the Magic Castle, and that's when I lived in Los Angeles. So I last time I was out there, I went to the Magic Castle. I freaking love it. It's a cool spot in Hollywood. It's just something I'm a hobbyist. It's like I'm not a. I have been. I'm good enough to be a pro. It's just I'd rather leave it to guys who do it full time. You know what I mean? I'm just kind of like it keeps me like when I go on the road, I'm working and I'm in my hotel room. I'm working on a card presentation or I'm working
Okay.
something, so it keeps me sane. It's like a lot like playing an instrument. Like people who play travel with the guitar and
Yeah.
whatnot. And so, get a lot of time by yourself, so you have to fill up the gaps with stuff to do.
So do you have any, like, magicians that you followed or kinda inspired
Yeah,
you?
yeah, I follow magicians. A guy named Carl Heim down here is a real great magician. I've seen him lecture at the IBM, the International Brotherhood of Magician meetings, and Danny De Ortiz is another like Spanish card magician, but he's he was just on Fools, and he's just a beast. Like just nobody's performing magic like this guy. So it's just, and he's just a card guy. So just great stuff. I like it. I like it. Some people don't, but I'm a fan of that stuff.
Was this something you were always interested as a
Yeah,
young
since I was a kid, I used to do. I used to be like a kind of an. I was by the time I was 15, I was kind of an accomplished magician. I was like I had doves. I had the whole. Um, yeah, I had doves. I used to book shows. Probably did like 4 or 5, 6 shows a month, and so yeah. And then when I hit 18, I just wanted to do stand up.
Well, I'm curious about that because I understand you did acting school before you
Yeah, I
did?
was a member of Creative and Performing Arts High School. Went there for a couple of years, and then, then when I went to Los Angeles when I was 19, I studied with Daryl Hickman and a bunch of different acting coaches out there, and worked on it. And and so yeah, so now that I'm able to it's good. I laid a foundation. I got an education about it. So now when you're auditioning and you're able to go up for these stuff, it's a great way another way to be creative. It's very much like, like I just saw this thing with Robin Williams. It's like for me, it was comedy, magic, and acting. And those were the three things that
Yeah.
I kind of focused on. And now that's how I make my living. So,
So are you doing any or working on any possible magic shows maybe
no, I
soon?
thought about the possibility of doing a one man show that was mostly magic, but I'm just kind of, I'm too busy doing other stuff now. So
Yeah.
time permitting. Something I'm probably going to work on going into the first of the year, maybe because it's fun. I love doing it.
No, I like to see it. I've heard you mention it before, and it's like something I haven't got a chance to see, and I try to get a chance to see if some of your shows here, but
Yeah, I just do straight stand up,
yeah.
but magic's something I work on the side.
So how'd you get into interested in doing stand up from doing
It's something I
acting
was
stuff?
interested. That's kind of why I did magic, because when you're a kid, you can't go do open mics,
Yeah.
but I could do magic, and so it gave me some performance chops, which was which is something I was. So by the time I started doing stand up, I had been doing a lot of shows. And so I just had to wait for my writing ability to catch up with my performing ability. And that takes a long time. People don't realize it takes about, I guess everybody's different, but about 7 to 9 years, depending on who you are, before you find your authentic voice
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So
So I'm curious about kind of your journey into stand-up because I understand you were a bouncer at the Laugh Factory, or you worked
No,
at
no, no. I was a doorman at the comedy store,
doorman.
but
Okay.
that's the way everybody, it's doorman slash bouncer, but that's the way everybody starts. Like out there, that's what's Missy's system. You start at the door, and when you work the door, you get to watch all the best comedians in the country all the time, and and so that was kind of like a foundation of an education because you got to watch, Gary Shandling and Sam Kinison and Andrew Dice Clay, Louis Anderson and Gary, just all the best comedian. Robin Williams would come in and Carlin and Pryor, and you get to watch guys like that. And so that was an education unto itself. And so that was kind of her system or the way to watch the professionals do it, and you can learn a lot by watching them do it. Like I've always said this, and I was talking about somebody about this recently. It's just like, if you work at the comedy store and you have to follow all these people, it just makes you a monster, and you get to see, because it's people doing stand up comedy at a high level all the
Mm-hmm.
time, and so you get to see it. You get to talk to them, and it's like very much like a college kind of thing. So
And so I wanted to ask a little bit about your stand-up because I mean, when we kind of talked before when we originally met, I mentioned about like me listening to some of your albums, especially your Zero Tolerance album,
yeah.
and you mentioned like to me that was you consider that your best work, which is your
Well,
latest
yeah.
album.
Well, it's I really like the album. I themed it out. I worked on it real hard, and so my first album, my last album, I think were my two best albums. Yeah, just me personally, everybody, but people just love your love the stand up, and they like, so it's fine. I was really happy with the last album. I'm working on another one now as we speak. So
I saw that you kind of got back into since you traveled back was going into your yoga practice. So how
yeah,
was that?
man. Well, it's the meditation that I really like. It's an hour and a half in a hot room. The yoga positions are hard, but the meditation is what I like, man. It clears your head. It changes your life. It changes the way, when you're working to it's just breath work. It's working on doing the big work on your head. It's letting go of everything and being present, and all that stuff is what I dig about it. And then you get a sweat. Like when I leave, I'm just soaking
Mm,
wet, and that's great. And you combine that with going to the gym and doing some cardio, and then doing some weight workouts, and when you do all that work towards yourself, you start eating right, and you start doing all the right things, and so yeah, it's something I haven't done in the past. I've kind of just that life on the road is very tough, and so I've kind of switched it around and did a 180 because you got to do that stuff. As you age, you have to work on your body, and you have to
yeah.
work on your mind, you have to work on your spirit.
I'm turning 35 tomorrow, and I'm just like,
Happy
real. There's
birthday,
a
man.
lot. Thank you.
Sagittarius.
Yeah, like now it's kind of just hit like, especially when I started doing stand up, just taking care of myself, self care, like health, like it's work.
Well,
Mm,
you know what? But the work you put in, or you see the benefits from sitting there.
yeah,
It's something you're doing for you,
yeah.
and so you need to do it. And I enjoy it immensely. I like it. It calms me down. It gets me, just go through your brain and get rid of all that like shitty behavior and stuff that you just gotta like exercising extreme self care is what I call
And I know we like practice the same studio. So do you practice there like 3 times a week, or how
it. Yeah, I do
often?
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I do it with Frankie. I do the 11:30 Raja yoga, which is royal yoga. So it's
Yeah,
a guided meditation with it. And it's about, just kind of, it's more about the meditation, but the yoga poses
yeah,
are not easy. I mean,
yeah.
especially if you're not flexible. So you have to, but I've gotten better. It's a practice.
Okay,
They call
yeah.
it a yoga practice. So you're practicing getting better. You're practicing these things. You're working on getting better.
Yeah,
And I approach everything from a beginner's mindset. You always want to be learning and always want to be, you're not going to do anything good when you first start doing it. So you got to give yourself permission to suck. It's a lot like stand up.
hmm.
You got to give yourself permission to get better, and so on and so forth. So
I think the first time I went to that hot yoga studio, I didn't even survive like the first half an hour, and I
yeah, it's
like
fucking
left.
brutal.
Yeah,
It's
and
brutal.
that's real hot yoga too. Like if
Yeah,
people,
it ain't no joke.
yeah,
But that's the thing of it. You want to go, I got to get out of here.
yeah,
And the thing of it is just staying there and being present.
yeah,
and just breathing. Just focus on the breathing. Focus on the breath work,
Yeah.
and then just let it pass. Just figure it out. But yeah, it's people. I'm going. Oh yeah, it's just more about the meditation, but it's tough. And it's not easy, but it's a good workout, man. If people
Yeah.
think yoga is not a workout, you are out of your mind. It's a great workout,
No.
and you're not only, but it's also the meditation, which I really love.
Yeah.
I love being able to shut off the engines, shut it all off, get into your mind, go through your mind, get rid of stuff that's not serving you anymore, work on your behavior, work on things that
Yeah.
and it affects every area of your life. And so it's a smart thing to do. And especially, you could I recommend it heavily.
Yeah.
I tell people you should do it. If the hot yoga is not your thing, do regular yoga.
Yeah.
So.
But so I heard, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you didn't start doing yoga till you came down here. Is that right? Or
No, I've done Bikram before. I've done,
okay.
I've done it a different, but I just, but since I've done it, moved down here, I've been doing it regular. I've been
Okay.
doing it on a regular basis. So when I'm home, that's what I do. I do that.
Okay.
And so,
So what got you to do it on a regular basis? Was it just your
because I
experience?
loved it, man. I
Mhm.
loved the way I felt after I worked it because it was tough. And
Mhm.
when you get done for an hour and a half and you walk out, you feel like a new person.
Yeah.
But it's tough. It's not easy. And so you go, okay, just get through this and just focus on it. And then once that happens, and then you walk out and you're glad you did it,
Yeah.
and you start to see the benefits of it. So I mean, I'm much more flexible. I see it in my golf game.
Yeah.
I see it,
Yeah.
in my diet. I've changed a lot of stuff in my diet.
Mhm.
Kind of gone alkaline. I've been doing some intermittent fasting and doing things like that. And so yeah, it's all. I got no. I'm glad I do it. I created a life down here
Yeah.
that I hate being away from. So if that makes sense, so I can do
Yeah.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I get up at like 5:30 in the morning. I go to the beach. I
Yeah.
watch the sun come up. I fill my fucking head with that, and then I sit there for the beach for like 20 minutes. And I go to the gym. I do about 45 minutes to an hour of cardio, and then
Yeah.
I hit the weights. And it's just I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. I'm just trying to firm up my muscles. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to build muscle. And then from there, once you get to that point, then you can start doing other stuff. I'm not trying to bulk up. I don't want to be. I'm already a big guy. I don't want to
Yeah.
be. I'm not want to be bodybuilder. But I was training with a couple guys that did want to be bodybuilders.
Okay.
But so it was great. I mean, you learn a lot about nutrition and learn all that other stuff. So that was cool.
When I started doing stand up, I realized I needed to do more physical fitness just to prepare me for the road and traveling and trying to find these
It's
open
it's no
mics.
joke.
Yeah.
But it's good for your head. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
greatest antidepressant in the world. I mean, it's funny. People would rather take a pill than actually go to the gym. You go to the gym, you don't even got to do much. I mean, if you
Yeah.
did 30 minutes of weightlifting 3 times a week, that
Yeah.
would be enough.
Yeah.
That would be enough. But that's too much. Everybody's on their cell phones. Everybody's like videotaping themselves working out. It's and I did that for a while, but I was just trying to, because you don't know who you're inspiring.
Yeah.
And so if I could do it, then everybody could do it. And people
Yeah.
see your photo because you're kind of inspiring me to get to the gym. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of cool about it. I'm not certainly not I've lost 30 pounds. I'm down to about I'm between 215 and 220.
Okay.
And I want to get that 215 is an optimal weight for me. And so, it's great, man. I feel great afterwards. It's a great, I don't, it's like people would rather just sit on their couch and do DoorDash and watch, The Price is Right or America's Got Talent. And I want to be out doing stuff.
Yeah.
The mornings I'm up at 5:30, I'm in bed by 9:30 and all
Yeah.
that other stuff. So, but stand up, I'm like a purist when it comes to stand up. I just,
Mhm.
I mean, it's just you and Mike and some words
Yeah.
that you written down, and
Yeah.
you got to put all these little nuances on it and turn it into this, I mean, it's not an easy thing to do. Walk up in front of 200 people and 250, and then just next thing you know, everybody's just dying laughing. So
Yeah.
it's a real skill set. It's a real art form, and it takes a lot of work. And you got to I work on it all the time, and I've been doing it for a long time. I mean, I could rest on my laurels, but I think that you gotta put work in. If you want to, because it's a highly competitive field as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was at the Improv probably a month ago, and I I guess you came in just as a guest spot to do some time, and that was, like, pretty awesome, but, you're working. It's always awesome to see you're out there working.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's like, in LA, I had the Improv and the Comedy Store, which you could do 7 nights a week, which is great. If I want to go work on something, I could call and go, "Hey, I'm
Yeah.
working on something." They would fill you up, and so
Uh-huh.
you could go in and just work on the set if you were doing a television spot, or if you're working on something, and then, um, but now, you have to do it. I'd rather go in and just do 10 minutes of a guest set and just work on what I'm working on, because you got
Yeah.
to, and there are all kinds of little rooms around here where you can do it.
Yeah.
But it's like you need that. They're like gymnasiums, like kind of verbal gymnasiums where you get to go in. And sometimes it's about hearing yourself say the bit out loud, or say
Yeah.
the words out loud in front of an audience. And then you start to play with it, and you start to find what's funny in it. And then you start to sculpt it and craft
Yeah.
it. And, that's and I kind of always overwrite. So there's a lot of
Okay.
there's a lot of memorization that goes into it. And as you go in, you
Yeah.
start to remove stuff or shift things around. And, and that's the dealio.
And you're a chakra guy, like, you count your chakras or take care of your chakras, is that right?
Well, yeah. Well, your what it was about was having my body function optimally.
Mhm.
That's what the thing was. So, I had both my knees replaced because I was so bow-legged. I was in a motorcycle accident many years
Oh,
ago. One
wow.
leg was shorter than the other. I was walking like an 80-year-old man, and I kind of once I got my knees done, I got some height back. My leg, I started walking better, and I started
Oh,
going,
wow.
"Hey, let me get my," and I didn't have any excuses anymore. So
Mhm.
I started working out, and I started. I wanted to get flexible. I wanted to honor the blessing,
Mhm.
of being able to, because I was able to get 2 knees, and believe me, I was in bad shape. I was walking like an 80-year-old man, and
Wow.
now I'm not in pain anymore, which is great. So I don't have to worry about pain management,
Yeah.
and also I feel great, man. I feel better than I felt in years.
Mm. No, that's amazing, and, I mean, that's awesome that you got into yoga, and, like, it definitely, like, reflects on, like,
Well,
you mentioned you lost weight too and
you
stuff?
lost weight, but also just being present in your life.
Mhm.
Everybody's living in the past. A lot of people are trying to live in the future. Everybody's just breathe, man. Just breathe, and you're right where you're supposed to be. If your body's in tune with the universe, everything's like energy and vibration. You know what I mean? And if your body's function optimally, and your spirit and your mental capacity are aligned,
Mhm.
and you're just kind of present, and you open yourself to all kinds of things that are supposed to happen for you, and you can manifest things,
Yeah.
and you could talk things into existence.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
seen stuff happening in my life. I've seen things manifesting in my life.
Yeah.
uh I mean, it's funny because I moved to Delray Beach, Florida. I've had more auditions in the last 4 months than I've had in Los Angeles in the
Oh,
last
wow.
4 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I
Yeah.
just auditioned for a series regular for a TV show. It was, I had a producer's callback session, which is
Okay.
nice. You get to that point. I've auditioned for a bunch of stuff, voiceovers,
Mhm.
everything. Doing a lot of corporate work, a lot of club work.
Okay.
So it's all. I know all these things are manifesting in my life.
Right.
So it's like, you think you can't do these things, but the fact of the matter is you can. You just have to vibrate at that frequency, and you'll attract what you want in your life. I know that sounds like some new age horse shit, but I got to tell you, it's not. It's not. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't think, um, human beings realize what they're capable of,
Yeah.
or our full potential.
Yeah.
And there's a million Horatio Algiers rags to riches stories of
Yeah.
people who have turned their lives around, whether it be financially or spiritually
Yeah.
or physically. People that were like 350 get down to like
Yeah.
178, and they change their lives.
Yeah.
And then you don't realize that affects every area of your life.
Yeah.
When I got my knee, I started walking with more confidence. I started carrying myself with more
Mm.
confidence because I wasn't a cripple. I mean,
Right.
I really was. I mean, like and then that affects your work on stage, and it affects
Yeah.
your interactions with people.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It affects everything.
Yeah.
So, uh, but some people are ready to hear that, and some people aren't. Some people go, yeah, that's people like would rather go to a bar and sit in the same bar stool and drink
Yeah.
and talk about high school and the stories and
Yeah.
and one day you fucking die, man. And did you I always say that, especially with social media. I go, man, never before in the history of the world have so many unlived lives been so well documented.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have to do it for work, so I do it for work, but I do it my way.
Yeah.
It's not about just like I give people a little glimpse into my life, but it's all more about business. And if you follow my IG stories, then you catch a little glimpse into my life. I just look, I'm on this journey, so this is what I'm talking about because it excites me. But I love doing stand-up comedy, and we'll get back to that podcast because you probably wanted to have me on talk about stand-up, and here I am talking about all this other shit. Yeah, it's great, Shubert. Thanks for coming over. No, but. Yeah, it's just a journey I'm on, and it's a great journey. And I think since I moved here, it's kind of aligned me to a lot of stuff. I mean, it just feels right here. I was always, you're banging your head against that show business wall for the last 23 years, and there's homeless people everywhere, and your rents are high, and you're freaking you're traveling every week just to afford to be in Los Angeles. What's the point of that? So. I feel happier here. I'm happier now than I've probably ever been in my life. I feel physically, I feel great. I need to do keep tweaking, it's a process, always room for improvement.
Yeah.
And so, so, any other questions? Go ahead. I'll defer it to you. I can babble on, especially after a couple cups of coffee.
Well, it kind of leads me because we were talking about yoga, and I mean, I'm early and I'm just a year and a half in, and even I have my hard days doing stand up and stuff. Do you have things that you practice just to relieve stress? I mean, you mentioned yoga, and you like cooking too. So
yeah, just breathing. I would hold on to my breath a lot. I find myself not breathing, and now I find myself breathing with purpose. 5 in, hold it, 5 out. Wim Hof breathing is great, allows you to control functions of your body. But that deep breathing is one of the ways the body heals itself.
Yeah.
That's what the thing is. So I keep, it's funny, I saw this thing on TikTok. I know it's stupid, but the breath, to be able to breathe, I mean, the first breath in is your beginning of existence, and when you can't breathe anymore, that's the end of existence. So it's real important that people just, that purposeful breathing. It calms me down. It centers me. And I've been doing a lot before I go on stage, which calms me down.
Okay.
I used to have a lot of nervous energy.
Oh, wow.
And just because the thing is, I still care about it.
Right.
So that's a good sign. But
Yeah.
also redirecting it now is what I do, and I think that's very helpful.
So these breathing exercises, do you reserve time throughout the day?
Yeah, come up with a morning plan. Morning plan. Like everybody gets up and runs and makes coffee, and then they start jumping in the shower. And take a minute.
Yeah.
If you need to, set the alarm in an extra hour.
Yeah.
Get up. You get in there, get in a position, just kind of start your morning with some deep breath work. Then I go into the kitchen and I'll drink a big glass of water with some fresh squeezed limes, some key limes, and some chia seeds in it. And that starts the hydration process. It starts the flush process. It also alkalines the body. And the chia seeds are great. Some they got more calcium than milk. They got more B vitamins than anything. It's just a couple scoops of chia seeds. And they also help you stay regular. They clean you out. Helps with weight loss. And then I'll put on some music. I'll put on a meditation. I'll sit there for about 20 minutes. Usually I combine my shower with listening to a couple chapters in a book.
Okay.
I'll start my shower, I'll shave and brush my teeth, and then I go in there and just kind of just stretch and kind of warm up in a hot shower, and then I switch it to cold. I finish my shower with a cold shower, but I usually kind of read a chapter of a book. That's what I do. I get up, I breathe, I hydrate, I meditate. Then I'll either read a chapter of a book or I'll listen to a chapter of a book, and then I go for a walk. And it's maybe a mile and a half just to get my body moving and just
Okay.
to get some sunshine and just to and maybe I'll continue to listen to my books on tape while I walk, or I'll listen to music or whatever and just get my body, and then I start my day. That's how I start my day. But that's a morning routine, and it's
Yeah.
not, and sometimes I'll journal, and sometimes I'll sit there and I'll
Okay.
write 5 things I'm grateful for, and then just sets you up for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And look, everybody's dealing with their shit. You know what I mean? Everybody's dealing with, I call it the trauma of human existence.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, just look at what you have to deal with every day. Everybody, but shitty relationship with people, this, that, the other
Yeah.
thing. And sometimes it's good to clear your mind and take control of,
Yeah.
what I would rather have my inside world influence my outside world
Uh-huh.
than have the outside world influence my
Yeah.
inside world. And so by setting a morning routine, it allows me to take control of my inside world, you know,
Right.
and and just educate myself and just kind of always growing, man. I mean, and dealing with, because everybody has this, these things. You think you're pretty healthy, but everybody's dealing with something.
Yeah.
And it's always like they talk about, like, when you get involved with somebody, when you deal with people, especially if you're getting involved in a relationship, how it affects every area of your life.
Yeah.
And so you want to see or ask people questions about how they were loved when they were a kid, because
Mm-hmm.
that'll affect every area of their life, which will affect every area of your life.
Right.
I mean, I'm not, I mean, if you're not like Don Miguel Ruiz wrote this great book called The Mastery of Love.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about every person has in their heart a kitchen. And in that kitchen,
Yeah.
there is every supply and every tool and every ingredient used to make whatever you want in your life. You know what I mean? But the problem is people meet people and they go, "Oh, you're responsible for all my happiness."
Yeah.
And they give them their happiness. And these people drop their happiness and it
Yeah.
drops and shatters into a million pieces. And that's not the way life works, really.
Right.
Happiness is an inside job.
Yeah.
And you're responsible for your happiness. Maybe someone will come along and enhance that, but they're not
Yeah.
responsible for your happiness.
Yeah.
You also don't want to get involved with somebody who doesn't know how to reciprocate
Yeah.
and or truly love. And he talks about how you have to be a good whole human being.
Yeah.
You have to be a good whole person.
Yeah.
You have to be well balanced in all those areas of your life. And you have to do that work. I'm sorry, but you have to do the work. You can't take a pill for it.
Yeah.
And so if you meet another person who's doing that work, another whole, complete human being, then that is a healthy relationship.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be, I'm crazy. I want to be in a healthy relationship with
Yeah.
somebody who's doing the work.
Yeah.
I don't want to be it's just, and you meet people and you just, does anybody really know anybody anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. So I'm just working on me.
Yeah.
And so to finish my point about Don Miguel Ruiz is
Yeah.
how to be a good whole person.
Mm-hmm.
And then by doing that, you will find other
Yeah.
people that are there, because that's what you'll attract.
Well, you were talking about kind of like a morning routine, and I kind of want to get into like special routines, like maybe when you prepare for a show, or if you're okay with like your writing, like if you have special.
Well, I rehearse.
Okay.
I spend a little time rehearsing, because it depends on what the show is. If it's a
Okay.
club show,
Mhm.
then I'll just pick what I want to work on. I
Yeah.
always pick like 5 things I'm working on, whether it's 5 bits or whether it's maybe 3 bits and it's something I'm doing on stage.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm playing with my pacing. Maybe I'm slowing everything down.
Okay.
Maybe I'm just going to kind of be present in the moment, maybe do a little crowd work or just work on something
Right.
that kind of keeps it interesting for me. I never wanted to get stagnant. I want to keep it still exciting, and I've been doing it for a while. But I still do get excited about it. But yeah, I think that affects every area of your life.
Okay.
That just doing a morning routine will affect every area of your life.
Yeah.
Writing down your goals, writing down your dreams, writing down things you want to work on. And so yeah, it's like tomorrow night I have a corporate show, and so I have to rehearse my corporate show, because
Okay.
I can do like 45 minutes of corporate material,
Yeah.
which is like a little cleaner than club stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then then you have your club sets, and you're always working on stuff like that. And so it's but there's like 9 ways to make a paycheck doing this. I figured I'd investigate 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I got 5 CDs out, which bring in income when they play them on the air. All my acting stuff, you get residuals for.
Right.
So you try to create and generate these alternate streams of income,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I kind of things I'm working on.
Well, so one thing that I'm really interested is, I mean, especially you being in comedy for so long, and just having my rough days in comedy, doing stand up, and So I have challenges that motivates me to do stand up, and
Yeah.
yeah, I would love to hear like things that I mean, you mentioned like working out, meditating, but like things that kind of help you just motivate you just through your career, just in general. It doesn't have to be.
Well, you know what the thing is? Sometimes I think the thing you want most is you just have to let go of it.
Mhm,
You just have to let go of it and do the work. And just, it's like, well, believe me, I mean, trust me, I've been going after it for the last 30 years, just banging my head against the wall. And now that I've relaxed a little bit
yeah.
and I start attracting like opportunities and things that come my way, and I got to be honest with you, out of the blue and for no reason and for no, and not because I pursued anything. I mean, I've done 3 movies and I didn't freaking none of it came through an agent. These people
Hmm.
called me directly. These are great directors and actors and writers that have called me, and it's funny because you built these relationships and so that happens. So yeah. So here's the thing. You develop all these skill sets, right? Whether it's cooking or meditation and
Hmm.
these things, doing stand up, and one day it just all comes together. You keep
Hmm.
doing the little things. The little things are the big things. You keep getting up to, even though you're getting your ass kicked, even though
Yeah.
you're getting your ass kicked and you're struggling, and you just keep doing it. That's what courage is, man. Courage
Yeah.
isn't being afraid. It's being afraid and scared to death to do it and still doing it. And
Yeah.
and also is that, and stepping up in there.
Well, are you working on anything that our listeners should like watch out for, or
Well,
keep
no,
an eye
people
out
can go to my
for?
social media, jimmyshubert.com will lead you to my Instagram handle, which is Jimmy Shubert, and it's Shubert, Schubert like the theater. And it's I'm off Twitter. I just find that to be the least
Hmm.
fun of any of the social media
Yeah.
sites. Besides that, someone hacked my handle, so I
Oh wow.
haven't been able to get it back. Yeah, so just Instagram, TikTok, and my website and Facebook. But I have a Jimmy Shubert comedian fan page.
Okay.
Just because it's funny that the different social media have different audiences and different
Yeah.
platforms, so you really have to kind of do all 3 or 4 of them on a thing. You just have to kind of appeal to those different demographics.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, since we're wrapping up, is there anything you want to leave our listeners to help motivate them in pursuing their someday?
Well, I think there are so many side hustles out there that require minimal amount of work. There's so many people that wish they, it's just you're, people are you're capable of a lot of things you're not sure that you're capable of until
Hmm.
you do them.
Yeah.
And yeah, and a lot of that shit's fucking scary and stuff like that. But you build it. You build it on the
Yeah.
weekends, and you set yourself up. Like if you worked your ass off for like 5 or 6 to 10 years, you would set yourself up for the rest of your life to be able to do and have a life that you didn't need a vacation from.
Yeah.
Like I mean, dude, I don't need a vacation for my life.
Yeah.
My life is it's
Yeah.
I'm very blessed and I'm very
Yeah.
lucky. And that's the other thing too. I practice gratitude a lot.
Mm.
Very grateful for I mean, I feel so blessed in my life. And it's funny, the more grateful I am, the more things I have to be grateful about. And I think that's where it starts. Just being grateful. I mean, there are so many people that are battling diseases and different things. And here you are, you're this healthy human being. You get up every morning, you got 10 toes and 10 fingers. You're able to walk around. You're reasonably healthy. And you're able to go on a walk if you want to do. And there's things that you can do. And we all take everything for granted. I mean, the beauty is in the little things, man. I mean, and I think that we've been convinced otherwise. And I think that's the thing. I think that just being joyous, you're finding things to be joyous about. Feed your soul, feed your brain, feed your spirit, you know, uh, and figure out what you want in your life, and then wake up every day and do the little work, which leads to the big work,
Yeah.
which leads to you having a blessed life and something that
Yeah.
you like. I can't wait to get up at 5:30 in the morning, go to the beach and watch the sun come up. I freaking love it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like one of those things. It's like, wow, that's how you're starting your day.
Yeah.
And you're sitting with your shoes off and you're grounding
Yeah.
yourself in the sand and you're walking along the water
Yeah.
and the waves are rippling in and it's touching, you know what I mean? And sometimes after hot yoga, I'll go right to the beach and I'll jump in
Okay.
the ocean and
Yeah.
rinse off.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on. Learn to enjoy your own company. I mean, I travel a lot. I'm by myself
Right.
a lot. And I wouldn't say it's a lonely existence. Certainly it's a solitary existence.
Yeah.
And so learn to enjoy your own company, man.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with figuring out what you want in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important because it's your life. And man, tomorrow is promised to nobody.
Yeah.
It is promised to nobody.
Yeah.
And so, fucking enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
And be joyous and smile more and stop being so angry, because you'll rot like a piece of fruit from the inside out. Don't be jealous of your friends.
Yeah.
Be happy for your friends.
Yeah.
And they can be happy for you when the stuff in your life starts working out.
Yeah.
I'm not a jealous guy, man. I root for all my friends.
Yeah.
I root for my buddy Butch Bradley. I saw he won entertainer, like a stand-up comedian of the year in Vegas. I was so happy because he got sober. I know Butch for many years, and he's been out there, and he goes out and does it every night. His crowd works on another level. And I go, Dan, it's just so, I mean, my friends' wins are my wins.
Yeah.
People go out at this the wrong way. Because somebody else is winning or doing better, it doesn't diminish who you are. Your time's coming. Believe me. You're going to have your day in the sun, and you have to believe that.
Yeah.
And you have to do the work to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so, I just like sit down every day and just find 5 things to be. Start small. Just find 5 things to be grateful for in your life. And also start telling your friends and your family that you love them.
Yeah.
That's funny. I had this conversation with a friend of mine many years ago. And I went through something like this in my own life. And he goes, shoot, my old man, he never says, I talked to him on the phone and stuff. He never says, I love you. I got because they're from a different generation.
Yeah.
I said, they're from a different generation, Tony. I said, have you told your dad that you love him? He goes, no. I never said it.
Yeah.
I said, do me a favor, bro. Just do me a favor. Every time you talk to your dad on the phone, say, I love you. And that's all you want to say. I love you.
Yeah.
And then whether he says it or not, just hang up the phone.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks go by and I get a phone call. He goes, shoot, I did it. I said, telling my dad I love him. And he starts saying it back to me and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but there's lots of times it's not, you know what I mean? You have to do it. You have to, what do you want? Well, you have to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing. So tell people you love them, man. Tell your family you love them. Don't fight with your family, man. You get one family. I mean, if they're toxic, then by all means, keep your interaction limited.
Yeah.
But, not everybody is as blessed as I am. I mean, I grew up in a family with 6 boys, 6 brothers.
Wow.
There's 6 of us. My mom and dad are still married. They're still alive. They're still together. And I posted something the other day, like things you don't realize, like and I know some people, I know the holidays are painful for some people because of loss, or that they did not have a childhood like I did. Like I believe me, I'm most thankful for that I had a great childhood. But lots of times all that Christmas magic I felt was because I had a mom who really loved me. And so, and they created all that, so there's something to be said for that. And just, but I know not everybody can. Some people are working on different things. Some people have other things. I just know my experience. So I'm blessed. I thank God every day for my. I grew up in a time that was like, it was, we were running outside every day. We had bikes, we had choppers, we built bikes. We would hang out at the library. We're always reading, because, it was always reading. There was always, I was, it was always adventuring and going down to the golf course and, fishing and looking for, doing all stuff like that. So it's, I don't know what your question is. The advice I say to people is just figure out what you maybe some people, maybe you like playing golf. Maybe you like, figure out a way to maybe, incorporate that. Find your hobby or find something that you love to do, and then figure out how to get paid for it.
Yeah.
And then you're combining your passion with your income, and then you really never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that, like, it's that movie City Slickers, where that Curly would go, it's that one thing. You just got to figure out that one thing.
Yeah.
And everybody's going, what's that one thing? What's that one thing? I think the one thing is figure out what feeds your soul, or what you would do for free. And it could be anything. It could be feeding the homeless. It could be, helping underprivileged kids. It could be, but turn that passion into a way to, look, we live in a world now. It'd be great if you could do all that stuff for free, but turn your passion into a way to help people. How are you making the world a better place, man?
Yeah.
It's funny because I find this, and this is the things that humans are delusional about, is that we're all connected.
Yeah.
We live on planet Earth. which is this giant human ecosphere.
Yeah.
And what affects the guy on the other side of the world affects me in a strange way. And the fact of the matter is that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And I think once you realize that, you go, oh, fuck. We're living we're living together in this. So be kind to people too.
Yeah.
I mean, man, everybody's going through some fucking shit, dude.
Yeah.
Be nice to people.
Yeah.
Just try to. Anyway, I'm just saying, be kind. Try to find a life that you don't need a vacation from, or figure out how to turn your passion to a way to make a living, and just enjoy life, man. It's a short little ride on this blue marble, and that's it. And I'll close it with that. So there you go.
No, I appreciate that. I think that's a great way to close it off just in time. But Jimmy Shubert, I appreciate you joining on Someday with Jay Barsky. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man, my pleasure, brother. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the final episode of 2022 of Someday with Jay Barsky. Thanks for listening to our episode with Jimmy Shubert. You can follow him on all his socials, which you will find in the episode notes. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please rate and comment on the podcast to help make it grow. If you wish to follow me, all my socials are at IamJBarsky. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon.